Yeah, let's go ahead and start with Nacogdoches, sitting at 5-1 on the year, coming off of a come from behind win for their second district win over Hallsville, 21-20. They doubled their district total wins this season than what head coach Darby House had in his first two seasons, combined. They only had one win in each of those seasons, and now you're sitting at 2-0 with a chance to go 3-0 against Whitehouse, this Friday. And it's been a much different season, much different, feel in Nacogdoches on the gridiron at Dragon Stadium than what, had previously been over the past couple of years, even before head coach Darby House was there. This was a team that hadn't made the playoffs since 2021 and are well on track to do that, taking down Jacksonville right before the bye week to get that, first district win, which they had been really successful in. Surprisingly enough, with how much they struggled in district play, they've been able to get those district opening wins. I believe they're three out of the last four they've been able to do. And then now coming out of the bye week and picking up, like I said, a come from behind win, 21-20 against Hallsville. And they're going up against Whitehouse, like I said, this Friday, a team that this record wise maybe doesn't blow you away, but they were able to get their first district win against Jacksonville this past week and are certainly going to be a dangerous team. Got to say it, home of Patrick Mahomes out there in Whitehouse. So, guys, got to mention it. I know it's a big deal around here, but it's still a lot of talent on that Whitehouse team. So it's going to be a battle on Friday in Nacogdoches, and Coach House, definitely made sure to mention that.
All right, let's take a look.
They're a great football team. Their record doesn't show. They're extremely well coached. Coach does a great job over there. And so, up front, they, defensively, they got a new defense coordinator. They've got some pieces moving. New defense coordinator, you're going to find some pieces, change some things up. But we feel like there's some things that we do that'll give them fits. And obviously there's things they do that'll give us some trouble. Offensively for them, they got a tempo that everybody's pretty much envious of or tries to replicate. So they do a lot of good things offensively. Got a lot of good skill kids. Got a lot of kids coming back from last year's squad. So, they're a good, sound football team. We just got to go do our thing and take care of us. And like we said all year, you take care of us, and everything else will fall into place.
Well, you're playing for something. How you doing there, big guy?
How's it going,
These
Coleman?
guys,
Good to see you, man.
good to see you, man. Yeah, they're playing for something. This is a part of the season where you can see the separation from those who are winning and who have a really good shot at going to the playoffs, and that is the case here as we enter Week 8. NAC has played. They probably played very consistent this year, more so than the lesser not known schools, but competitive schools, if you will. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would say so, and it definitely helps when you have 20 guys, 20 starters from a season ago returning. You get that continuity back. It's just something that you don't really see from a lot of these schools across the state. Doesn't matter where you're at. You can be all the way up in the Panhandle, down near the Rio Grande Valley. Down in Southwest Texas, down in Houston, you're just not going to see that a lot. You don't see 20 guys coming back. So to have that sort of, continuity and consistency coming back, it's a first for Coach House in his time in Nacogdoches. And I think, also having a guy who can win on the outside, in multiple different ways, 50-50 balls, or just winning down the field in Micah Lockett certainly helps in that factor.
Well, we've said his name several times in the past few weeks, Michael Lockett.